Jujutsu Kaisen is known for one main thing. It's insane peak fights. So I thought, why not? In today's video, I went through season 3 part 1 and ranked every single fight. Subscribe as it helps a lot and enjoy. Now, for anyone who's watched my ranking videos before, you know it goes trash tier, meh tier, good tier, great tier, and finally the legendary tier. And I'd just like to take this moment to congratulate JJK Season 3 for being the only show I've reviewed so far on this channel with 0 fights in the trash tier. But yeah, Maki versus her father was like a 2-second skirmish with like 0 substance, but at least it didn't insult me in any way, so for these reasons, it's our bottom fight of the video. Next up, we have Megami versus this random guy. I literally don't even know his name, but just like the last fight, it was pretty fine for a few seconds. It was on screen. There just wasn't that much to it. Now, they do have some cool shots of them fighting in the bedroom. Plus, I literally, for a second, thought Megami was going to rip his head off, which would have been so badass. But then he just starts smashing his face in over and over again while falling before ending him. Low-key kind of overkill, but sure, why not, bro? Now we have when Yuji entered the Culling Games, and these two giga bums try and jump him. He falls in and this woman blitzes him across the city, but my goat is made of steel as he tanks it no problem. And he just randomly throws a metal bar at her head, one tapping her like, what a shitter. Then her husband or whatever, which by the way, has the stupidest design of all time, tries to attack Yuji, but he just gets deleted flying around. And he's like, you broke your hand from that, you're finished. Then Yuji blows up his balls. Like, little bro, what kind of copium are you on to think the scratch on his hand meant you were winning this fight? But yeah, good job to Mappa from bringing a super boring, nothing manga fight to life with some slight fun to it. And then for our final fight in the meh tier, we have the season 3 opener with Yuji and Choso farming all the curses Kenjaku sent at the end of season 2. This was just a chill, fun scene watching Yuji run around with this fat schlong, just one tapping every curse. All these curses would have been decent threats earlier in the story, so watching Yuji's progression, being able to negative dip all these curses is super satisfying. And then finally seeing him lure them all to Choso for the 10-man collateral was badass. Overall, a cool intro scene to the season, but you know, it's just meh, because it won't be something you really remember after watching. But now, folks, we are on to the good tier. These are the fights that you will remember for, well, being good. Nothing extraordinary, but still a fun time to watch. And we have just a fun little fight with Yuji fake fighting Panda in the underground arena. Kind of weird to say it, but just another goofy little duel that was entertaining. Hard not to smile and laugh watching Yuji fighting in front of the crowd, faking the attacks against Panda while they're yapping with one another. I really don't have too much to say about this fight. I just thought it was cute and enjoyable. In the Sendai colony, there was a super strong warlord old guy. Ryu, the player with the strongest cursed energy output. Yuro, the general who can control the sky. And finally, a cockroach special grade curse. These 4 were in a 4-way deadlock until he entered the colony. I know Yuta versus this old guy technically wasn't much of a fight since it was like one attack, but holy shit, the aura emanating off Yuta from this scene made me so hard. So it goes in the good tier by default. Best believe the rest of the Sendai colony fight is higher on this list. Next up, we have another moment that like wasn't too much of a fight once again, but holy, the aura from the scene was so raw. Hikari punching Yuji over and over again, and my goat just tanks it. He's like, where's your passion? And Yuji says that he has no passion. He's just a cog in a machine to exercise curses. This catches Hikari off guard, who keeps laying into him, and when he finally thinks Yuji's down for good, he just spawns right behind him, scaring the fuck out of him. I had to put this fight in the good tier just because I already love Yuji, and seeing him aura farm with Hikari, it was just such a fun scene to watch. Then above the last fight, we have Maki versus the Hei. The Hei are the few strongest members of the Zenin clan that confronted Maki after her awakening in episode 4, but like, wasn't much of a fight, more like unconsensual cheek spreading. Maki walks in, blitzing this first guy, ripping his throat out.
Jesus Christ.
Then runs up to old bro over here, doing it for a second time. Ronda tries holding her down while she just looks up menacingly, ready to spread more cheeks. Rose over here dying while Junichi's trying to aura farm, but inevitably gets one-tapped as well. Super badass showing of power, but the fight was too one-sided and quick to be any higher than the bottom of the good tier. Then we have arguably one of the worst fights in the manga adapted to a semi-amusing fight in the anime. Megami and Panda versus Kurara was definitely probably a little too long, but I can't complain too much. There was a lot of dialogue they needed to get out. This fight was pretty good for a few reasons. First off, holy fucking shit, it really showed how high Megami's battle IQ is. He figured out one of the most stupidly confusing techniques in only a matter of mere minutes off intuition and logic. Kinda crazy because God knows, if me or any of you guys watching were in this scenario, not a single one of us is figuring this shit out. The reason this fight was fun to watch was there was a lot of funny moments. Like, first of all, why is Megami built like a Greek god? Kirara said, I need to stop him fast before he figures out my technique. Then just completely stand still while Megami and Panda discuss it for like 2 minutes straight, figuring it out. Panda saying,
"What if there are 6 or 7 stars?"
Then he throws the car at her just for it to fling back at himself. And then finally seeing the legendary return of rabbit number 437 that ran the ones with Toji, making his triumphant comeback to Aura Farm was just so fucking random. Also, Kirara is just low-key a baddie, so yeah, good job Mappa for turning one of my absolute least favorite manga fights into something entertaining. Now, one step above, we have Takaba versus this random explosion sorcerer. This entire thing was just hilarious. He shoots a bomb at Megami and Takaba just spawns in out of nowhere, tanking it to the face. He starts bleeding out and we get this hilariously awkward scene for like a minute straight of everyone just awkwardly looking away. Eventually, Bomb Bro asks him if he's strong and Takaba's like, "You're asking if I'm funny or not?" No. Then he tells the most horrific joke of all time, stun locking everyone until randomly deciding to spring into action before hitting Bro with the drop kick of doom and despair. Then slaps him with a fan before unleashing Kakashi's legendary 1000 years of death upon this poor fuck. And after being diddled for like 20 minutes more, this guy just gives up and walks away. Sure, why not? Next up, though, we have Yuji versus Yuta Okotsu. The one and only time we see our main two characters clash with one another. When he pulls up, everyone freezes at his creepy energy, but like, they really fumbled this scene. I don't know why in the anime he's arching his back like that. Is Bro getting ready for Maki to peg him? Like, what is he doing? In the manga, he was not throwing all that ass back. But their fight starts with them fighting in some sort of theater, with Yuji having perfect acrobatic skills, flying around and jumping on all these chairs, until Yuta bitch slaps him out. Then he randomly decides to Aura Farm while telling Yuji that he has more curse energy than Gojo, but he has the 6 eyes, which make him #1 in performance. Obviously. They get back to fighting until Yuji b-hops through this car with a conveniently placed random knife, which he tries to use to fight with. He gets kneed, but Yuji snaps his blade in half, and as he tries to run in to finish shit, Rika comes in holding him down. Crazy that even as strong as Yuji is, he isn't even able to make this thing budge a tad. Then the craziest twist, Yuta stabs him through the heart, killing him. This shit was probably insane for non-manga readers on first watch. And then finally, at the top of the good tier, we have Choso versus Naoya. First off, you already know it's coming, but this fight has one of the craziest, most iconic openers I've ever seen. Him teleporting down there, hitting the crazy wombo combo while fixing his hair move on Choso. It was not in the manga, brother. They added this just to glaze Naoya. But this move was possibly more legendary than the actual fight or season itself. We have literally dozens, if not hundreds of people making their own versions of this meme from every show or series. And it's so peak every time. But cutting to the actual fight, this is when we find out Naoya has Pillow Fist. Each hit is doing like a -1 damage per strike. Also, the animation with Naoya flying around is so peak, bro. Choso focuses his blood and curse energy into his eyes, which almost let him react to Naoya, so he pulls out the dagger, cutting him a bit. And this does raise the question, as like, why doesn't Naoya just use a blade or sword? Because if all those punches earlier were stabs instead, the fight would already be over. But fuck it, you know, the plot needs to commence, why not? Choso has enough as he explodes the tunnel with thousands of gallons of blood, which Naoya dodges almost everything. He lines up piercing blood one final time, and as he runs in, he's confused why he hasn't fired it yet, but it was actually a trap as he explodes all the blood at once, finally hitting Naoya. And once the poison blood's on him, it's checkmate for our goat Choso. Unfortunately, Yuta walks in, slapping him with his dick, but that's the story for another day. Really quick, don't want to bother anyone from the video, but I do have a Patreon in the link in the description below where I react to JJK, One Piece, Baki, and of course, you know, Blue Lock. Every day there'll be something. It's less than 1 Starbucks drink a month. So if that sounds interesting, check it out. Now, finally, moving on to the great tier. These are the fights that either have a really good writing behind them or super great action. But, you know, they're just missing that extra oomph for them to make it to the esteemed legendary tier. For our first fight, we have Maki when she first awakens, finishing off her bum father and wiping out the entire Kukuri unit. When Mai finally dies, taking all her curse energy, she's left with nothing, causing her to become the same as Toji. Her father senses her new power, causing him to legitimately shit bricks before getting no dip. Seeing her face off against her clan was so badass. It felt so freeing for her after all she's been through to finally put a stop to this monkey-ass clan. And plus having great action, there actually is some good writing behind this fight, unlike the previous, which give it a good bump up. Overall, just badass, well-animated, fun, with some meaning behind it. So yeah, thumbs up, guys. I'm actually really surprised to see this fight as high as it is, because in the manga, for me at least, I felt this fight was extremely boring. mainly because I don't care about Reggie at all, and not really the biggest Megami fan also, but the anime did a great job of bringing this fight to life, or even though I don't care really about either of these guys too much, the fight was still super fun to watch. Fight starts off with a super well animated chase scene in which we see Reggie's power comes from like conjuring whatever's on their seats, or like whatever he wants. It's some dumb shit like that, I can't remember. He eventually gets pushed back into a church where Reggie says, "This is a battle of attrition, where neither of them can use big one-shot moves." Megami's like, alright, and just dips. This guy summoned drones in a moped to chase after him. You cannot convince me this isn't the goofiest shit of all time, bro. This guy could have summoned Ghost Rider's motorcycle or some cool shit, but he summons the auraless green moped that goes max 15 miles per hour. It's also wearing a helmet. I can't, bro. But eventually, Megami leads into the gymnasium as bait, and out of nowhere, he throws 2 trucks at Megami, which he barely dodges, then follows it up throwing plants at him. I feel like blades would have been a lot more effective once again, but sure, why not? And right as Megami is about to get hit, he reaches into the plant's shadow next to him, barely pulling out a blade in time to save himself. Reggie throws more bullshit at him until we find out why Megami lured him here. He's using the gym as a barrier since his domain is incomplete. As he activates his domain, I never said I don't have any big moves. Oh, this shit was cold as fuck. Once the domain's active, Megami is putting belt to ass on this monkey as he's beating the complete fuck out of him. Unfortunately, Reggie realizes how this shadow works, dropping multiple cars into his domain. Megami can access the shadows, but it also means he has to carry whatever's inside of them. And right now, he's currently trying to hold the weight of tens of thousands of pounds in his own. Are you stupid? An incomplete domain is still a domain. My shadow's above you two, as he drops his Giga Elephant on Reggie. And holy fuck, bro really does look like his daddy in this scene. And now they're having a stalemate in which to see who can last the longest. He eventually tries using his trump card, but his leg snaps as he falls into Megami's shadow. But before drowning, activates one of his cars to drive him back up to the surface, and he drops a fucking house on Megami, but he picked this spot for a reason, dropping both of them into an actual pool 1 floor below. They get to their final scrap, and right when Reggie drops his guard, the demon dog comes back out, killing him. Overall, a great fight to display Megami's insane battle IQ once again, plus the peak animation. It was always going to be cool. Also, Reggie at the end of the fight says, "Let fate toy with you a bit and die a fool." And all I'll say is, if you know, you know. And then now, near the top of our great tier, we have Yuji versus Higuruma. This fight was just peak. Legit off rip, Higuruma activates his domain, which was a crazy cliffhanger for non-manga readers when it aired. In the domain, it invokes non-violence in both them while they enter a court trial. The whole scene was cute and entertaining while Yuji is convicted guilty by judgment, and it takes all of his cursed energy away. Most sorcerers at this point would fall apart like a house of cards, but even with no cursed energy, fighting with this default vessel, my goat is still holding his own against Higuruma. They start fighting, and I really love the way they animated this fight. Once again, in the manga, the fight is decent. The anime is really creative in the way it brings some of these scenes to life. Plus, the lighting and the coloring of the shots was super cool to see. Like, you gotta give the Mappa animators credit because they are super creative with all the fight scenes in the show. And while Yuji's about to finally get crushed, he screams that he wants a retrial, causing the domain to come back. Judgment says he's now on trial for mass murder in Shibuya on October 31st. Obviously, we all know it wasn't Yuji, it was Sukuna's doing, but the guilt from Yuji caused him to confess, which Judgment gives him the death penalty for. Higuruma gets the Executioner Blade, which allows him to one-tap anyone it touches. This scene was great because Higuruma had lost all faith in humanity for all being selfish line creatures, but seeing Yuji confess to something that he didn't even do broke and confused him, reminding himself not everyone is like that. They fight, and once again the contrasting colors with blue and yellow and the lighting is just so good in these scenes. But in the end, Yuji's feelings broke through to Higuruma, who released his technique, ending the fight. Overall, great writing plus peak animation, fight choreography, colors, and lighting. Now, though, folks, we have made it to the legendary tier. These are the fights that you'll remember years down the road fondly on. They either have to have insane writing, insane action, or some sort of split of both. In this case, there's actually not that much writing behind it, but it doesn't matter because the actual animation and music was so peak. Maki versus Naoya. He represents the final hurdle of the Zenin clan she's trying to end, being the current most powerful member. Their fight starts off with Naoya drooling about Toji in the past, but like, I ain't really gonna say anything he said was even wrong. They start fighting, and holy, this animation makes me so hard. I can't even lie. Now, truthfully, I think this fight is around the same tier as the last one, but what gives the edge to me is the fact that one, Maki is like Toji, and Toji is my favorite character. And then like every other previous fight in the season, this one has an especially peak soundtrack. Listen to this shit on YouTube if y'all need some music. There's no reason they needed to cook so hard with this. Then after the peak animation of this fight, it ends with one of the most badass finishers, with Maki dropping her galactic-sized balls on Oyo's face, one-tapping him. Overall, definitely one of the best fights in the show so far, and I love every minute of it. Now, obviously, as a surprise to no one, the final episode of the season sits on the throne at the top. Fight starts off with the roach swarm attacking these people, and low-key, if these guys were me, I'd be shooting my shit clean off. Like, this would be my personal hell. Yuta flies in, and already I knew the animation in this episode was going to be different from the scene alone. The roaches try to chase these people, but Rika slaps them with her massive schmeat, and this is where we meet our special grade roach curse. They get ready to square off on the river, and for it, my goat puts belt to ass. It gets pissed, spawning in millions of roaches as Yuta runs away in this fucking beautiful chase sequence. Holy shit. They got the animator Avengers for this one, boys. Every time it tries to swarm Yuta, he just swings his blade, deleting all of them. It eventually backs him up into a field, and it tries to engulf him again, and he does this crazy spin move, eviscerating all of them in an instant. So raw, man. He cuts these two bugs that spray him with goop covering his eyes, and even while blind, you need to flex this guy's blade. Although after a while, it starts kind of beating his ass, and when it's looking over, he gives it that nastiest kiss in history, shooting positive curse energy through its mouth, killing the curse spirit. God damn, that was insane. But that, folks, is only the beginning of this masterpiece of an episode. And now, I rarely bring this tier out, but there's just no way I could put this final 1v1v1 in the same tier as our previous two. This final was genuinely the craziest shit I've seen in so long, and it makes me remember why I love anime. Right after killing the roach, Uro appears attacking him, and I just want to say that her character design and powers are actually so fucking cool looking. On God, they scrap a bit, and the soundtrack for this fight was also amazing, like the Naoya fight, until finally Ryu makes his appearance, shooting at them both. Yuta runs towards Ryu, and once again, the animation has gone plus ultra in this episode, looking fucking unbelievable. Like, the way they pan the camera around the landscape in one continuous shot is straight up breathtaking. Ryu and Yuta start fighting, and once again, everything's just looking absolutely stunning, watching them go back and forth. Eventually, Yuta's hands get fried, but quickly heals it with reverse curse technique, and they take their fight towards the train track, while Yuta chases after him in the tunnel. And I can't say it enough, but the fucking animation of Yuta flying through, dodging absolutely everything is just insane. Then he comes in hurling a fucking train at bro before kicking him through the ceiling. He eventually launches Yuta across map where Uro is waiting for him, catching him with a thin icebreaker. Ryu gets mad she's interfering with this fight as she catches his blast and hurls it back at him. And when Yuta seems tired and worn out, that's when he whips out one of my favorite panels from the manga. Come, Rika, give me everything. Oh, he's so tough, bro. She gives him a metal arm to fight with against Ryu, and the fight starts back up. She charges Uro while Yuta uses curse speech to stop her from moving, while they start beating the brakes off her. Then coming in like Superman, Yuta flies through Ryu's blast, smashing into him. And that's when Uro goes all out, turning the entire floor into her plaything, flinging everything everywhere. The 1v1v1 keeps going, and once again, I'll just clarify, the whole time I was watching this with white tears rolling down my leg. She grabs the entire fucking sky, charging up for one final massive attack, hitting everyone. And then we see the most iconic standoff I was waiting for. I was praying they wouldn't butcher this from the manga, and they didn't. The triple domain clash. I don't know why I was worried, because they fucking cooked with this shit, bro. Then out of nowhere, Roach Boy comes back in somehow, and the triple domain shatters with all four of them falling down. Uro and Roach Boy both get fucked, and now it's just Yuta and Ryo left over. He realizes Ryo just wants an all-out battle once again before dying, and decides to indulge him, while they both fire an insane blast at each other, like a Dragon Ball beam struggle. Eventually, Yuta charges in while Ryo shoots another blast before using his copy again, like how Uro does, launching his attack in the sky. They keep fighting until finally, after a bit more, the beam comes back down, hitting him, ending the fight. Truly a masterpiece that will go down in history as one of the best anime fights ever made. Now I'm just literally tweaking, waiting for part 2 to come out. And if any of you are watching or dealing with depression or having bad thoughts, just remember, you cannot die before Gojo versus Sukune gets animated. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Give a like and subscribe. Thanks as always to Goat Yuri for being in our special grade sorcerer tier on the Patreon. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.